not industrial, but like you hear trains chugging and clanking and whatever. Um, but and also something fun to watch is just his lead actresses talk about him. There's a video with Naomi Watts, Laura Dern, um, Patricia Arquette, and Haley Gates talking about working with him and just how they love their experiences and they imitate him. They're like, this is how he talks when he's on set, and he's always got this microphone, even if he's like 2 feet from you. Um, but so yeah, he is just so inspiring. Like I actually I realized I'm gonna kind of start doing more. I'm gonna start doing more, like some of my older videos. I have images, like artwork images that are out of copyright, and I thought about doing that for this video, but I realized it really wouldn't work right for it. But I'm gonna start playing around with, like there's scenes in Wild at Heart where there's like close-ups on candles and the candles flickering, and it does that sound like as the wind's blowing on it, and it's kind of um, it's got like part of the sound effect is because of the wax that's melted beneath the candle, but it's his sound production on all of his films is top notch, stellar. He's got a great ear for music, like the soundtrack for Lost Highway and Wild at Heart is just off the charts. Like whether it's blues or jazz or metal or rock or whatever, he's got a sound. He's got an ear for music. He's got an eye for art and photography and painting and cinema. He's so inspiring. Like I kind of told myself I'm going to start exploring, because you think, oh, I don't have a camera and I don't have lighting and I don't have the setup, and it's like no, like just get your phone camera and just start playing around with, like I can get great photography on my phone. So it's like, yeah, start doing some cinematography, like start taking your images and making them into moving pictures and then use them for videos. So I'm gonna start playing around with that idea a little bit down the road. I think I'm gonna do some more cinema stuff, like talking about cinema. Like I had a follow-up for Nosferatu that this happened before I got around to making that, so that's probably what I'm gonna do next. But then I'm gonna start doing some short films too. I'm gonna start making these like 3-minute films or shorts for YouTube, and then any of my longer form stuff. This is gonna have to be 3 videos too, but my longer form stuff is gonna be I'll start playing around with what I can do with my phone, and kind of channel the spirit of David Lynch from The Great Beyond. But yeah, I just want to make this video. Today's his birthday. Was his birthday, is his birthday, and and I literally, like a lot of people, I went through his filmography last night and watched all the trailers to all 10 of his films, and so many people were doing the same thing. Like I was reading the comments, like you'd see all these comments of, oh, R.I.P., miss you, you inspired everybody, and he's just so inspiring. Like you're just like, life is short, man. Like the last film he made was in 2008. He made Inland Empire, although he did the final season to Twin Peaks after that, and that's pretty much the last things that he did. So the last film he made was over 15 years ago, like 17 years ago, and then the last show he did was the final season of Twin Peaks. And I mean, I don't want to say that, oh, I wish he would have done more, because I'm happy with what I got. I really am. But I was holding out. I'm not going to lie. I was holding out that he would make one more film. And I honestly, if I had met him, I'd said, hey, dude, that 3-minute Lumiere film, make that into a feature film, sci-fi film, like, please. Because I want to see him. I want to see him do a sci-fi film that's his vision, because he didn't get final cut on. Like, he says he likes parts of Dune, he loves parts of Dune, but he didn't have final cut on it, and it broke him, and he had to do things he didn't want to do. Even when they were in the script development phase of it, he was already making compromises he didn't want to do, and he thought it would turn out okay, and it didn't, and it was his learning lesson for him, and it was depressing, and it was frustrating for him, and blah blah blah, and he kind of disowned the film. But apparently Dino De Laurentiis, or his daughter I should say, approached him and said, hey, we still got all the footage, we'll give you final cut now, like, because that was his third film. And that kind of fell into his lap because they were looking for an artist, because Jodorowsky had worked on this Dune project. Like, they went over budget. They ran out of budget on Dune before they even made the film. Like, they were getting Mick Jagger and Orson Welles and Salvador Dali and H.R. Geiger, and he had this dream team to make this fucking film. And Jodorowsky, literally, they ran out of money before they could make it, and then it kind of bounced over to De Laurentiis, and then they got Lynch, because they're like, he just made Elephant Man and was like riding high off of his success from his first two films. And I have grown to love that film, and so much so I was a little disappointed when I first saw the remake by Denis, and but I think that was just because I wanted more weirdness, and I remember seeing some reviewers say the same thing. Like, there's this huge Dune fan out there, Comic Book Girl 19, and she was saying the same thing. She was like, I wanted it to be more weird, and I was thinking the same thing. I was just like, I'm so used to this Dune universe being just so bizarre, and they kind of captured the bizarreness a little more in the miniseries, but it was on this cheapo budget, so it was like, boy, too bad this is on a cheaper budget. But it was smart of Denis not to go that route, to be honest. It's like, you can't redo that. You just need to do your own vision and be true to the source material. And ultimately, I think he made another great Dune. And the second one really convinced me that this was the right way to go. Anyways. But yeah, they said they would give him final cut on it, and he didn't want to go back to it. And it's just like, which technically speaking, if you're already making compromises in the script phase, then there were things that you were going to do that aren't filmed. So he wouldn't, like they say, a film is made 3 times. You make a film first when you write it, second when you film it, and third when you edit it. So by already compromising the script writing phase, even though they had everything filmed and have, like, there's a 5-hour version of it that you can buy on DVD that is credited to Adam Smithy. They just popped in all the scenes that they could, but it wasn't necessarily, all the scenes weren't necessarily worth it, and some of it was cheesy. Like the beginning, they have like a 10-minute prologue that has drawings, and you're just like, nix the drawings and please, like, don't have drawings of planets that I need to look at. Anyways, but I'm a huge fan of that film, and it has Lynch's fingerprints all over it, even though he doesn't love it totally. He loves parts of it, he said, and I've grown to love the whole thing. One of a kind guy, like truly one of a kind guy. Just super inspiring, super friendly, super real, super quirky. Like he's a unique guy. He's from Montana. I think he's from like some small town in Montana, and so he's just like, and that's considered Midwest, I suppose. I think, and you wouldn't think a guy like that would be the guy that's made his filmography. You know, like, you would expect that person to not look like David Lynch, but his hair, like, he's always rocking this crazy hairdo. He's just the coolest guy. Like I truly admire Mr. Lynch, and yeah, I was a little busted up when I heard about him passing, and what a terrible experience. You know, you're being evacuated from your home, you're living with your sister, your house is burning, you're demoralized, and poor. I don't even want to imagine. I just grateful to have had, you know, the opportunity to live in a time where you get to know him through media, right? Like, it's like, I never talked to this guy, but I've seen so many interviews with him, and it's like, I feel like I know him through his interviews, and, you know, his film, you know, Inland Empire, too, is, me and my buddies went and saw that at, this little drive from here at this, art house cinema down in the city, and it was pouring rain, and it was opening night, and we were all having a little party before the premiere, and then we drove down there, and I remember thinking, if we get into an accident on the way here, because like you know, you start hydroplaning, and you're like, oh my god, like, you know, our friend was driving, and she drives this big old boat of a car, and we were going through this rain and low visibility and these huge puddles, but I remember the theater was packed, and we were just all blown away, and for some reason I was like, I wasn't even for sure. I got this impression, like they said the film was cursed, like they're filming this film and it's cursed, like that's the plot, and I for some reason got the impression when I first saw it, based on misinterpreting a trailer and that particular scene where they talk about that, thinking that the curse had something to do with vampires, and that's what that lady was talking about in that one favorite scene I was telling you about, where she's like the lost girl in the market, and da 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 da, and for some reason I was like, oh, there's vampires involved in this film. You know, not overtly biting people on their necks, but just like evil characters that are in the background, vampires type. And that wasn't the case. But there is this scene in that film where they're talking about this legendary rumor of this producer or director, somebody who's hung like a rhinoceros and he's evil and something like that. And again, there's just all this. There's so many scenes of this guy that just they're folklorish, like they just instill this, you know, like he starts telling these stories, and all of a sudden you're just plunged into this scary madness, and it's all so real, and it's supernatural, and it's just like, you know, there's this hint of supernatural going on, and you're just like, it's terrifying. He's an amazing director. He can evoke so many emotions in a film, and even though I kind of, you know, Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway, I was kind of like, oh, these films don't make sense, and so I didn't rank them as high as I used to rank some of his other films. But then I'm like, why do stories have to make sense? Does life always make sense? Like, life doesn't make sense. So if art reflects life, does the story have to make sense? Can't it just be a dream? It's like, oh yeah, it's just dream logic, right? Like, we're just... So once I started adopting this dream logic, once I started allowing for the idea of stories to not have to make any sense, and it can just be about stream of consciousness, dream logic, you know, all of a sudden then Mulholland Drive is like at the top. And there's another scene in Mulholland Drive where she's doing the reading with the guy. That's one of the hottest scenes of all time. Like, she's doing the reading with the older guy, and like when she's doing it at home practicing for it, it's coming off cheesy and soap opera-y. But then when they start doing it, and for the director, in the audition, like there's this chemistry, and you're just like, that's the hottest scene ever. And they're not even doing anything. They're just talking about how hot they are for each other. Anyways, I think that's all the favorite scenes. I mean, I'm missing some. Feel free to pop in the comments and tell me what scenes I've missed that are awesome, because I know I'm missing something from Eraserhead. I need to watch it again because it's been so long since I've seen it. Like, my memories of it are pretty vague, but the trailer kind of brought some of those back. But yeah, check out his filmography. You can't go wrong with any of his films. There's no point in me telling you what films, like just any of the films are amazing. But hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you find David Lynch's work inspiring.